My name is Angie Rosier, and I've been a doula just about 12 years this year, and it's been a journey that I've absolutely enjoyed. And I ran across this quote last night just by happenstance, not in preparation for this, but I'm really glad I ran across it. Michel Odent said this, and he's done a lot of work over the decades with pregnancy and childbirth. He said, "It seems that health professionals involved in antenatal care have not realized that one of their roles should be to protect the emotional state of pregnant women." And that's true. If we look at the overall system for labor and delivery pregnancy in the United States, this piece is not very well addressed. But doulas, that's exactly what we do. That's our job. One of our main focuses is the emotional care of a laboring woman. And I know people are touching on the prenatal and the physical support and the postpartum. And emotional, I'm going to touch on all of those a little bit because the emotional piece is going to span prenatal, during labor, of course, and postpartum as well, because birth, although it's a very incredible physical experience, is also an incredible emotional experience that we sometimes neglect to remember. So in the prenatal, in preparing a woman for labor, to prepare her emotionally for what she's going to experience and to infuse her, as Jennifer mentioned, with information, education, but confidence, to help her feel confident in her body, to help her know what to expect, to help her be excited and feel prepared. We live in a culture where many are afraid of birth, and you've probably heard from your clients or patients that they hear the horror stories. They go to it, somebody sees that they're pregnant and they get, rushed at the grocery store, or they're blessing ways, usually not blessing ways, but baby showers. People tell them their worst story, and so that's not helping their emotional preparation. So as a doula, we are to prepare them emotionally and positively for what they're going to be experiencing during childbirth. And of course, during labor, women go into an altered emotional state. The laboring mind is a very powerful but vulnerable place to be, and so the doula's part of her responsibility is to protect that space and to train for the doula to train her ears and her eyes and everything to the mom and what the mom is going to be interpreting by her environment, her surroundings. So what are her providers saying to her, and how is she interpreting that? And you know that because you have spent time with her, as Jennifer mentioned, that you know this mom and you know what words are going to be important to her and what words and what scenarios are going to be harmful perhaps to her. And so to take those the things that are coming into that mom, whether it's sight or hearing or the support in the room in her space, and turn them in a way that will be able to serve her, and to help the team, whoever she has chosen as her birth team, to help them emotionally support the mom as well. So a lot of times we find ourselves rephrasing maybe what has been said. We find ourselves letting the mom be in that emotional state and not disturbing it. Sometimes we have someone who will come in and ask a simple question, but the mom is in the midst of, say, transitional labor or something. She's not in a space to say, yes, I'd like a drink of water. That's overwhelming to answer that kind of a question sometimes. So the emotional preparation, emotional support during labor. And I would also add the emotional support of the dad, and that can be addressed ahead of time, getting to know him, what his needs will be during labor, helping him be prepared, and the entire team that she's chosen. So you want to be, as a doula, it's kind of a neat responsibility, but be in tune to the team's emotions. So if she has a midwife, bring that midwife in warmly and welcome her into the space that this couple's giving birth, and help her be a positive team member. If there's nurses, if we're at a hospital, bring those people in warmly and welcome them into the space so that the team emotionally is working well together to serve the woman the very best that they can. And years ago, I was at an out-of-hospital birth with a fabulous midwife, and that's when it clicked in my mind that doulas have a very important role in the emotional aspect of things. Doulas are the only one, they are the only one who maintain that emotional support role. It can be given by nurses, by doctors, by midwives, but that's not their primary job. So when things go awry, if there's an emergency with the mom or with the baby, the midwife's training, the nurse's training, the doctor's training goes to that situation. The emotional component is largely abandoned. at a time, you can imagine when it's the most important. So the doula, that never changes for her. So when there's an emergency, she's still zeroed in on the emotions of the mom. So we know that how a woman is made to feel during her labor and delivery will stay with her for the rest of her life and help shape part of who she is and how she views herself. So even if there is something go awry, to maintain that positive aspect and not let those emotions crumble when people go to do their primary jobs, the midwives, the doctors, the physicians, when their primary job is not her emotional welfare. And then of course there's the postpartum aspect, and postpartum can be a very emotional time. You're processing this incredible, phenomenal experience. You have some neat hormone changes that are coming into play with the emotions. And so to touch base afterwards, and Toby's going to go into postpartum work a little bit more, but at the doula I like to make a phone call 2 days later and just check and see how things are doing. I don't always do it, but it's really good to do it a week after and just check on the mom. That's when things might be tough. I actually called one of my moms this last week, and I was hoping just to leave a message, say, hey, just thinking about you, hope you're doing well. She answered the phone, and that was great, and I talked to her, and I said, how are things going? And she was not doing well, and I was fortunate to catch her at a time when she just needed a little bit of emotional support. She's like, I think I'm dealing with some postpartum, blues, and I'm just keeping a close eye, and I said, good, that's excellent, call me if you need a chat, if you're feeling not so positive about your baby, your experience. And she had a fabulous labor and delivery, but if you're, you're exhausted, you're really tired, and she knew that. So she said, be careful what you ask for. I might call you at 2 in the morning. I said, that's fine, that's absolutely fine. So to protect that emotional space afterwards as well and be available to help with that. What else? I'm trying to think. I think that's about all I have on the emotional support of women during labor.